Hi, and welcome to Christ Talk. I'm so excited to talk to you today about the power of your destiny. And that is something that is important today, the power of knowing your destiny, the power of your destiny, being in the right place at the right time. You know, we have families and we have women that are the pillars along with their husbands, the leaders of the family. And we have a lot of now people asking, I wonder what my purpose is. And am I in my destiny? And you will only know that when you are in a particular place with the Lord and He is leading you and He is guiding you and He provides provision. And what I mean by that is that, I have been a student, I have been a daughter, I have been a wife, and I'm still a wife. I'm a mom and also a friend. And when you have so many different roles in life, you sometimes wonder, what or who am I really? And when you find that you have God as the head and He has provision set for you, things work out so much smoother when you are in your purpose. What do I mean by that? Purpose provides and establishes provision. For example, I used to, as a student athlete, I used to run at the University of North Carolina, was on scholarship for 4 years. I had came from a background of, a grandfather that was a bishop and in a Christian family, in a Christian church, a Christian setting. But we talked about purpose so much. But I had seen so many role models. I had seen my father in his purpose. I had seen my mother in her purpose, and they all had so many different hats. Yes, hats as wives and as husbands and as overseers and as bishops. And even if you don't come from that particular background, you are still filled with purpose. And sometimes God will put people in your life, whether it's family members or even if it's not family members, He will put people in your life that have purpose fulfilled lives so that you can see Him working, so that you can see how purpose provides provision. And as I saw those role models, my parents, Bishop John Colander and my mother, Hortense Colander. She was a missionary. And I saw my sister, a role model. She was in music and she then got a band scholarship. And you see how purpose started to provide provision. When you're in purpose, one of the main characteristics of purpose is your gift. When you're in purpose, it's like a tree. Purpose is a seed that is planted in the soil. You start to think about purpose when you're young. That's where I started to think about purpose. And, in the church, I started to think about what I was hearing. I was hearing about God and I was hearing about destiny and I was hearing about David had a purpose. Samson had a purpose. Samuel had a purpose when he anointed David. I had heard so many different stories of God and about Christ in my life and about purpose that I started to crave. And I started to ask the question, do I have purpose? And if you did it for them, that has been years ago. God, what can you do for me? And so He took me to the scripture, Hebrews 11:1. And it says, now faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And so as I started to matriculate through the University of North Carolina, and I was always thinking about, and I had those seeds planted from my father and from my parents of growing up in the church and having role models in my life. And they were very consistent. That was another characteristic of consistency. People who are consistent in their work. People are consistent in their faith. And those seeds started to grow and they were in their purpose. Whether they had different hats, they had one or two particular things that they focused their attention into so that their seeds would consistently grow. And in their season, they always reaped. Do you understand where I'm coming from? It talks about in John 15 that God is the true vine. And so if you start to think about how fruit grows and how we grow, if fruit is not connected to the source, then it's hard for it to grow in purpose. It's hard for it to grow fruit. It's hard for it to flourish and to thrive because it must thrive off of the soil, off of the vine. And God says, I am the true vine. And so as I started to matriculate through the University of North Carolina, and I took those seeds with me of faith and of purpose and of God multiplying, and that when I gave my tithe, that, he said, test me now here with the tithe and see if I won't give you, look, more than enough. If I won't open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing that you won't have room to receive. And so as I thought about purpose, and then as those seeds were planted, and I consistently found myself multiplying in my gift of not only as a daughter, but also as a student, and then as a student athlete, and also growing through college and consistently training and becoming a great athlete, and then going on to the Olympics, I started to see how purpose was coming to life. Do you get what I'm saying? And I want to make sure that I am saying it the way God wants me to say it. When you have a passion in your heart, that seed is what God is telling you to do. If you do something consistently, that seed is starting to come to life. It's breaking open in the soil. But you must have God with you so that you can get the nutrients for that seed to keep growing. Yes, for that seed to multiply, for it to increase, you need to add the dunamis power. You need to add God so that he can give you that more than enough. So he can give you that Malachi, the test me now here with the tithe. He can give you that increase because it's some things that you cannot do on your own in purpose that would 10x you. All right. And when I say 10x, I'm talking about women. I'm talking about families. I'm talking about that woman today who is looking for that to do that business or to do what God is calling her to do in purpose, but she doesn't know how to multiply. And when I've learned how to multiply in different areas of my life, I have seen God move because he was first. That's what I'm saying. He was first in my life and I kept him first. And then he started to multiply me. He started to put me where I needed to be at the universities. And he started to put me when I traveled in front of the right people, with the right agents and with the right contracts. I end up landing with Nike, one of the biggest sponsors in the world in track and field. And I couldn't have done that on my own. I couldn't have ran over 8 years, even plus, that's just the pros and starting in the pros. But, just thinking 4 years at the University of North Carolina, 4 years in high school. When you really love what you do and you are in your purpose, that is how you know you're in your purpose, because time will pass and you won't even recognize how many years you were in your purpose. That's 3. So I wanted to give you not only 2 characteristics, but 3 characteristics of when you recognize that you're in purpose, because purpose doesn't look at time. Purpose is being planted. It takes time to be planted. And when you're in this age today of everything so fast and everything's coming so quickly, you may forget that purpose takes time. Purpose is exquisite. Purpose is the a la carte. Purpose is like eating the best seafood or the best steak. It is purpose has to have the time that it needs to develop and to be able to create. And when you're in it, that's how you know. And God will put the right people right in front of you that you thought that you would never get to, and that you could never even bring to you, because God did it. He was in it. So that's how you know when you're in your purpose. Now, destiny is when you're in your purpose and you're flowing in your purpose, you're 10xing in your purpose, and you're at the right place at the right time. And I'll explain that. I remember not only seeing the years of the transition of going from, one area of my life, being in Virginia, originally there, and no one, I didn't get a lot of people coming to track meets, but I fell in love with who I wanted to become and who I was seeing myself in my dreams. When you're a PK kid, you want to experience life. You want to do a lot of things. And I was like, I just want to find out what my gift is. And so I tried so many different things. My parents allowed me to try different things. They didn't keep me in a box. They traveled with me, and traveling gave exposure. And when you travel, you meet so many different people, and you see how they have expanded because of networks and how they know so many people. And you can tell how great your network is how filled up your quality people are that's in your network. And so when I started to think about me expanding, I started to think about dreaming and who I wanted to become and how I wanted to see it. And so I'll say this in a small golden nugget. If you want to become something that you have seen, then you need to put that in front of you every day. This is who I want to become. And when you pray about it and you have a plan, even if you have maybe a 5-step plan, if you can ask the Lord to lead it, then He will 10x it. And so what I found that when I started to put my vision on the wall, I just wrote as a kid, how I wanted to see FloJo and how I wanted to see her. I put pictures of what I saw. And I started to do my nails and I started to do my hair, and I was working already very hard in my craft. But I started to see that what I put up in front of me, I was becoming for me. I was making it my own. But I was able to see someone who had already dreamed, already had been consistent, if you get what I'm saying. As I looked at my mother and I looked at my father and I saw consistency, I saw faith, I started to put other people in front, visions of people that had already become that too. And when you stay in that realm, when you stay in that realm of purpose and you stay in that realm of God's first and praying to God, being consistent. I mean, you can worry God with your prayers like the lady in Luke 18. Be so persistent and be bold in your prayers that you know it's going to come to pass. You may not know how it's going to look when it comes to pass, but and speaking to these families today, I am speaking that if it happened for me, I'm a gold medalist now, world record holder. I have a family. I'm able to really now have my children continue the legacy. I have a junior Olympian. I have some football players, my sons. And so everything's not going to be perfect. But when you're in your gift, you will find perfection in the most unpleasant, unperfected things because you're in your gift. It's no way it can not be good, because what you have is already a blessing. What you have is already something that money can't buy. And that is, you have your purpose. You have what you love, what you won't give up, what you would do even if you didn't get paid for it. That's how you know. And so I want to inspire someone today, someone in their family, a woman that's working hard, a gentleman that is in his craft, but he just doesn't know if he's in his purpose. You are in your purpose when you're doing what you love. Now, put God first in it and ask Him to multiply it. And you sit back, because when He's working, He doesn't expect you to work. He says, when I'm working for you, I will also fight your battles for you. So that means that you can't fight your battles because He's the one in front, and that He will put you among great people. You cannot do that. You don't know everyone, but He knows everyone, and He will do it at the right time, at the right place, and you will be in your purpose, reaching your destiny, because destiny is the right time. And I just want to say thank you for sharing in this this time with me today. I am so honored just to be able to speak to you and share what God has given me about purpose and destiny, not only to women, to families, and also to heads of households, men that are in their purpose or wanting or desiring to be in their purpose. Thank you for sharing today with me and being with me as we talked about purpose. Thank you for joining us today at Christ Talk.